It's this constant cycle of back padding, money changing hands. So they're all going to bow down to the big bad Big 12.
We've certainly done worse than call out officials on the air, right?
Hell, we do that weekly.
What BS from the Big 12? This is an NFL/SEC/college football Power 5 BS move. And it trickles down from the top, where in the NFL you're not allowed to say anything about the officials. These power coaches, shrivel up at a press conference and don't speak on officiating anymore when it's terrible in some cases. And it has gone now to the Big 12 where on the air, in a game where the officiating sucked, I mean, it was outright bad. The Homer broadcast team, which everyone knows they're for Texas Tech. The calls were not going in Texas Tech's favor. They are speaking on behalf of the Texas Tech fan, and they call out the officials. They say the Big 12 needs to do something about it. And what does the Big 12 do? They suspend the broadcast team.
Yeah. They don't answer. They don't answer for the missed calls or the butchering of the review process a couple of times. They suspend the Texas Tech announcers for this game. Here's what was said by the Big Ten announcers. I'll say it right now. The Big 12 does not want Iowa State to lose this game. That was a big problem for the Big 12 because challenging the integrity of the officials in the game was an issue. And then they said, yeah, Bob Bowlesby, Big 12 commissioner, you need to answer to this. This is ridiculous. The inconsistency of this referee crew in favor of Iowa State, unbelievable. The Big 12 should be embarrassed. The Big 12 should be embarrassed with this group. We've only pointed out two guys. I'm now going to read all of them to you, and goes through the entire officiating crew, first and last name. The only thing that I could possibly imagine that the Big 12 would have any jurisdiction to take, or a school would take action against these announcers, if they read the names and addresses and family members,
phone numbers,
didn't that happen in Kentucky?
Business. Well, it happened on a message board.
Okay.
And someone, their business was ruined. Said this is where the person has a law firm or whatever business they had, and they had to move the business because of it with a Kentucky deal. And I believe Matt Jones was in some way behind that, or someone with his group at Kentucky Sports Radio. Either way, that's the only thing I can see. Texas Tech would then step up and say, that's too far.
Yeah.
If you're naming family members or business, all that. They said the names that's in the program.
It's like reading a roster.
Yeah, they say the names before the game. You read the names of the officials before the game. So those names do nothing. And here's what I'm getting sick and tired of. Some business needs to grow some you-know-what, Learfield Sports, and say, screw you, Big 12. There are employees. Texas Tech fans love them. They're gonna work the game. You have no jurisdiction over our private employees. Now, the Big 12 would then come back and say, it is the individual member universities that select these broadcasters, even if their paycheck comes from Learfield
we
Sports.
approve them. Yeah.
But now this is where I want Texas Tech to step in and say, great, and they're fine with us. Until you give us an explanation for the game and the officiating, they're going to do their job next week.
Yeah.
But no one will do that because it's this constant cycle of back padding, money changing hands. So they're all going to bow down to the big bad Big 12. The conference, every school will bow down to the conference in these situations.
Look, the three of us are good friends. We talk for 15 hours a week and have good, energetic conversations about a lot of things. I much prefer when we have at least slightly different opinions on things and debate a little bit. And, maybe we don't change each other's mind, or maybe Hutton says something. I say, I hadn't seen it that way. You've shifted my opinion a little bit. Or maybe sometimes I potentially shift your opinion a little bit. Or at the end, we say, you know what? I haven't moved an inch on this thing, and I think you're crazy. But on these officiating conversations, everybody comes to the table with the same stance, generally, and everybody leaves the table. Not just the three of us, like everybody with jobs like these in America comes and says the taunting call against Cassius Marsh was ridiculous. Removing these guys for being critical of the officials during this game is ridiculous. That's not a fun conversation. There's no wiggle room here. Chad, you're not we're on the same exact page here. There's no conversation to be had. There's no discussion that's going to move anything. we're not going to influence the people who are making the decisions to change anything because all the flags are firmly planted. There's nothing fun about it. There's nothing entertaining about it. There's nothing informative about it. It sucks.
Well, and there's also control what you can control in these situations. And I get sick and tired of the root problem of these issues. We can go back to the Tennessee Ole Miss game. We can go back to Mississippi State, Memphis with the same crew that worked the Tennessee Ole Miss game, and just egregious officiating errors that affected the outcome of the game completely. In the league, Paul, we all worked at a place where what would be addressed would not be the issue, but the person who addressed the issue.
Yes.
Let's condemn and punish the whistleblower.
The messenger.
The messenger's the one. How dare you bring that up and not address the root problem of it?
Stop pointing out the obvious,
How dare you throw
Chad.
a bottle of mustard?
Right.
We're going to fine your university. We want all of these people banned, but we're not going to talk about what caused the mustard bottle. We're not going to talk about what caused these broadcasters to go ape during the broadcast on what was happening on the field with officiating. Let's get to the root problem with it. And if you're the Big 12, show more concern for officials screwing games up than what the damn Lubbock, Texas broadcast team says during the game.
The one thing is, I just think they don't know what to do. They don't know. And here's the other thing. So what happens is,
you know what they should do?
Watch?
Show us that it's going to get worse. If they wanted to take action, take that officiating crew from the Tennessee Ole Miss game and fire them. And then say, all right, guys, you got what you wanted. We're bringing up a Sunbelt crew. And we're bringing them in. And then when that Sunbelt crew is worse, that's when the commissioners can come back and say, see, we have an officials problem. And firing these officials to go to more is not the issue because they're worse than our officials. But at least let us see it and at least do something different.
Yeah, and what
show
they do,
that you're taking action.